I'm sure you can relate to the feeling of not feeling like you're in control of your actions, pretty much acting on whatever impulses you just get. I definitely can. And over the last 2.5 years, I actually managed to overcome that. In this video, I'm going to share one very important lesson that helped me do that. It's basically just that's a quick question for you. I know you can't like respond, of course, but do you get frustrated when you get an impulse or a thought or just a craving to procrastinate? Do you feel frustrated at that? Or do you feel negative about that? I used to for most of my life. Like when I try to actually make a change, when I try to actually improve myself and become more productive, I would often sit there, try to do the work. And when I felt lazy, when I felt like not doing the work or just acting and going and pretty much indulging in a bad habit, I always felt bad about that. But let me tell you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting lazy thoughts. There's actually nothing wrong with feeling like procrastinating. What's actually wrong is kind of listening to that craving, listening to those thoughts and acting on them. That's what's wrong. But getting those cravings, realizing that there was nothing wrong with that, realizing that it's completely normal, and now I'm going to get those cravings pretty much for the rest of my life. That I will never get to the point where I just don't get those cravings. Realizing that I really just kind of lifted a certain weight off my shoulder and really helped me reframe how I saw those thoughts to a certain extent. Because it's really until recently that I really started doing this, but I was already doing it beforehand, but I was still getting pretty frustrated every time I got a craving to maybe indulge in a bad habit, or maybe every time I didn't feel like doing the work. But realizing that it's completely normal and it's completely okay just made it so easy for me to actually overcome those thoughts, to actually overcome those feelings in general. I kind of realized that even 20 years from now, when I'm even more productive than I am now, when I'm even more successful in everything, I'll still feel like procrastinating sometimes. I'll still feel resistance to doing the hard work. I'll still maybe sometimes crave to do something that I know isn't good for me. But the difference between me and that version of myself is that he's even better than me at overcoming those cravings, those thoughts, those feelings in general. There's nothing wrong with getting those thoughts. It's completely outside of your control. You can't control it. I can control it. I can control. I can really like. I can control it a little bit, but in most cases, in most situations, in most scenarios, I have it's like zero control over how I feel, over those feelings. If I feel motivated to do the work or not. So, basing my actions on those feelings isn't a good idea. And I'm sure it isn't for you either. And of course, you probably already heard of the concept of discipline isn't about feeling motivated. It's about not feeling motivated but doing the hard work anyways. And I already always knew about that concept. But unconsciously, I was always feeling frustrated every time I got a craving to indulge in a bad habit or skip the hard work in general. I always felt bad about that, and I always felt, oh yeah, I need to, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe there's something wrong with me for not feeling like doing the work. Even though you may consciously already have mastered or really heard of the concept of, oh yeah, discipline is about doing hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Even though you may already be consciously aware of that, I found, at least for me personally, that I knew about the concept of, I was consciously aware of that concept and how important it was to actually overcome those lazy thoughts, even though they may pop up at any time. But somehow unconsciously, I still felt kind of bad and negative towards those thoughts. I always felt very uncomfortable every time I felt like procrastinating. Instead of getting completely familiar and comfortable with those thoughts. Because if you really want to get on this path and you really want to do a hard trade and actually live a life that actually feels purposeful, that actually feels like you're working hard on things that mean a lot to you, you're gonna get those thoughts every single day. every single day. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do, I take a cold shower. I often first I go and pee, sometimes I take a shit, but it's pretty much the first thing I kind of plan to do. Take a cold shower. I never, 100% of the mornings I taking a cold shower, I didn't feel like it. There was never a morning when I was there like, oh yeah, let's go get into the cold water today. Never. I never feel like it. But I still do it every single morning. In the start, I was like, in the beginning, I was feeling weird. I maybe tried to, I felt just weird about it because every time I was kind of getting ready to take a cold shower, I just got flooded with negative thoughts. Negative thoughts. Or don't do it. Why? Why even bother? Like, why should you do that? I just felt fear, laziness, and all those different emotions that want to stop me from actually going and doing it. And I felt very uncomfortable with those thoughts and those feelings at the start. But over time, I kind of realized it's completely normal. And it's actually a good thing because it's actually an opportunity for me to actually callous my mind, make my mind stronger. Your mind doesn't grow and doesn't get stronger when you feel super motivated to do the hard work, when you just feel like, oh yeah, let's crush it today, when you don't ever get those thoughts, those lazy thoughts and those negative feelings. The mind gets stronger when you feel that resistance, when you get those negative thoughts, when you feel like procrastinating, but you go and do the hard work anyways. That's when the mind gets stronger. That's when you actually level up the skill. When you feel motivated like to do the work, you're not leveling up a skill of discipline. Your skill of discipline gets improves when you feel like procrastinating, but you do the hard work anyways. So actually reframing it and seeing those situations, those moments when you don't feel like doing the work, and seeing them as an opportunity is actually the best way to do it by far. Like I've been doing it a lot recently. It's been so effective. Of course, I still mess up sometimes. I still find myself kind of sitting there and feeling negative about it. But I try as often as I can to just remind myself, okay, there's nothing wrong with getting those cravings. There's nothing wrong with feeling like procrastinating. Even David Goggins, every single day, I'm sure he sometimes just craves to indulge in some bad habits. He sometimes doesn't want to go. I'm sure on most days he doesn't feel like going on a super long run, but he still does every single day. Why? Because he's disciplined. I'm sure even when you read his books like Can't Hurt Me, Never Finished, you see that very often he doesn't feel like doing the work. He's not some human being with superior motivation, who's just super driven and always motivated to do the work. The difference between him and us normal human beings, you could say, is that he doesn't care about how he feels. He has his goal, he has what he wants to achieve, and every single day he just takes the actions that he needs to take to try to achieve his goals. And when he gets those cravings, when he feels like procrastinating, when he feels like not doing the work, he actually sees it as an opportunity. He sees it as something completely normal. He's completely comfortable with it. And he sees it as an opportunity to actually grow and get stronger. Recently, my days have been filled with those negative thoughts, filled with with fear, with that certain extent of fear, and just not feeling like doing the work because I've kind of made my routine even harder. I kind of started to actually slowly step outside of my comfort zone because for most of my self-improvement journey, even recently, even though I was already pretty disciplined and I was still working harder than most people, like waking up at 4 a.m. every morning, going to the gym, my life was pretty comfortable without me actually realizing it. I thought I was super uncomfortable, working super hard, but no, I was being pretty comfortable because I was scared of meeting that resistance. I was scared of really pushing myself to the extent where every single day I would not feel like doing the work. Every single day, I would be confronting my fears. But at some point, I just kind of realized, okay, I've been stagnating, not making progress for months now. So I'm obviously doing something wrong. That was the first step. And then I kind of realized, okay, yeah, if it was as easy, if it was just easy to make progress, then there would be a lot more people who would have achieved what I want to achieve. And there's actually, I kind of realized that there's actually beauty in the fact that it's this difficult. Making progress and achieving what I want to achieve, it required a lot more out of me. It required a lot more work, a lot more courage, discipline that I thought it required. I thought I could just be slightly disciplined, kind of still sitting inside my comfort zone, just do a little bit of work and then make progress. I did manage to make some progress for a few months, but I very quickly hit a plateau because to actually get to the next level, it requires a lot more from me. It requires a lot more work, but not just work, but kind of meeting and facing resistance every day from me. It requires more courage and discipline, more suffering. I know it sounds horrible, but more suffering in general. I That's really been the kind of the main lesson I've been getting in this current chapter of my life has been just getting comfortable with suffering. Like literally getting comfortable with suffering, with both physical and mental pain. Not in some weird way that where I sit here and I fucking slap my leg or something, or slap myself or punch myself in some weird way, but just exerting myself physically and mentally in a way where I will, to an extent, or where I meet resistance, where I get those thoughts, where I feel fear, where I feel like being lazy, like stopping, like not really pushing that hard, but I still push through and do it anyways. This morning, for example, um, I had a heavy bag workout in my gym today. Like not my gym, but the gym I train at every single day. So I had like a heavy bag workout. So I have my gloves here, and I just went and just hit the bag for like I had like a workout where I did like 7 rounds, 3 minutes each, with 1 minute break between rounds. Basically, it was pretty difficult. Like at the start, yeah, I still had energy, but towards the last 3 rounds, I was pretty gassed. So it took some mental strength to actually get through. Like it wasn't insane because I've kind of gotten used to doing hard workouts to a certain extent. Of course, it was still difficult, and I'm sure there's still physical challenges I could expose myself to that would require a lot more mental strength. But it was, I met that resistance. There was a moment in the middle of a workout where I got like like a few thoughts that were like, yo, let's just stop. Why should I push myself this hard? There's no reason to doing it. Normally, this would be kind of a rest day, but I don't really have rest days anymore. Right? Basically, I didn't have my training program is basically I do 3 days of strength training, basically bodybuilding, lifting weights, and then one day where I just hit the bag. So I do just basically kickboxing. So I go to the gym with my boxing gloves, I just hit the bag, work on my combinations, and that's what I did today as well. But that workout really gasses me out because it's really difficult, and I felt tired towards the end. I met that resistance. I felt kind of the fear. Like during the break, I was sitting there and I had maybe 20 seconds before I had to go back in for another round, and I felt fear. I felt fear because I was already so tired now, and I had another 3 rounds to complete. In the past, I would have seen that fear, that resistance as a bad thing. But in that situation, this morning, I was like, yeah, that's completely normal. Let's overcome this fear. And I saw it as an opportunity to become more disciplined, to become more courageous. Another example has been, so I have like a sales job. It isn't going so well because I'm, it's like a long story, but I'm not going to really talk about it in this video. But I am terrified of cold calling, for example. It's absolutely terrifying. And most salespeople that have done some cold calling in their lives will tell you that cold calling is probably one of the most intimidating, most difficult part of a person's job. Like most of them are going to tell you that. Of course, if you're doing like door-to-door sales, then that's probably a lot more difficult than cold calling, because in cold calling you're basically still just sitting in your room whilst calling people, but it's still very scary because you're basically calling people that don't know you, that you're probably disturbing their day to a certain extent. They don't know about what you sell, and you just call them, try to sell them something, and you may get some rude like rude reactions, rude responses, but and that's what's really scary about it. Your brain will just generate so many thoughts about how that person might scream at you, that person might be angry, that person might be rude, that person might insult you, and getting all those thoughts will just make every single day before I had to call people and dial and call people to cold call them. I felt absolutely terrified, especially for the first cold call of the day. My heart was pounding. That's exactly why I went to cold call. My boss didn't ask me to cold call. He was actually against cold calling. He said he said it doesn't really work that much. I literally asked him, "Can I cold call people? Can I call them? Can I do that?" And at some point, he just agreed. But the reason why I absolutely wanted to cold call is because I'm absolutely terrified of cold calling. It scares me. It terrifies me. That's why I wanted to do it. To get more comfortable with that feeling of feeling fear. Not feeling like doing the work, but doing it anyways. Feeling scared, but still sitting down and doing what I need to do anyways. Become more courageous, because that's what courage is. Courage isn't about sitting there and not feeling fear. Courage is about feeling fear and doing what you need to do anyways. Not feeling fear is just being fearless. Courage is specifically about being scared and doing what you need to do anyways. Same thing with discipline. If you feel like doing the work, you're basically just motivated. Discipline is specifically when you don't feel like doing the work, but you do it anyways. That's what it's about. So it isn't about getting to the point where you don't get those cravings, where you don't get those negative thoughts, those negative feelings, those cravings to procrastinate. It's about getting very comfortable with those things and being able to just ignore them. Just see them as another cloud passing in the sky and completely ignore them as if they didn't exist. Not succumb to them. See them and being able to overcome those thoughts every single day. Because if you truly live outside of your comfort zone, you're going to get those thoughts every single day. Every single day. If you truly are working to the maximum of your potential, you will get those thoughts every single day, with zero exception. So you better get comfortable with those thoughts. You better build up a certain strategy to be able to overcome them every day. And it first starts by reminding yourself that there's nothing wrong with those thoughts. That getting those thoughts isn't an excuse to procrastinate, isn't just, oh yeah, I just got a craving, so I might as well just act on it. Oh, I just got a craving to watch porn, so I'm just gonna go watch porn. Oh, I don't feel like doing my workout, I'm not gonna do it then. You may not be consciously aware of the fact that you do that, but you might actually be doing it every single day. I wasn't aware that I was doing this, but I was doing that. I was still working hard every day, but when I got a craving, I would just be like, yeah, fuck it, I just got a craving, so might as well just go and indulge in a bad habit, watch porn, watch YouTube, things like that. Well, I don't really feel like reading today, so I'm not going to read at all. I don't feel like working, so might as well not work. I'm scared of cold calling, so might as well not cold call at all. Getting those thoughts, there's nothing wrong with it. There's something wrong with actually listening to them. That's what's wrong. So yeah, hope you found this video valuable. And one last point. You may feel like I had this weird mindset where I felt kind of negative about, how can I say this? I felt pretty kind of negative about when I thought about a reality where I was constantly confronting my fears, constantly confronting those negative thoughts, those limiting beliefs and everything. I really just saw it as a bad thing. I really just saw high pressure, difficult situations. I felt just negative about it. I thought, okay, yeah, self improvement is cool. I want to improve myself, but I want to feel just motivated every day. I don't want to feel stress and anxiety. I recently just changed my mind. I believe that fear is an essential part of someone's life, especially a man's life. Feeling fear, but being able to confront them every day. For example, signing up for a fight. Every single person on earth is going to be completely terrified before a fight. And you might think, and I even used to think like this, that yeah, I'm going to maybe train martial arts, but I'm not going to kind of fight people, like kind of do amateur fights or something like that. And the reason why is that I was scared of feeling fear. I was scared of going up, or maybe the night before the fight, being absolutely terrified of that. Being absolutely terrified of what awaits me tomorrow. I was feeling fear towards the fear. But I think that fear, that anxiety, that pressure is absolutely essential to a man's life. It's absolutely essential. And I think, in my opinion, your quality of life is probably going to be better. You're probably going to be happier in a reality where you actually confront your fears, where you actually confront them and actually beat them. A reality where you're truly outside of your comfort zone. That reality, I'm 100% sure that you're going to be a lot happier in that reality where you kind of live with this kind of limp dick mindset where you just avoid your fears. You may still be working hard, like going to the gym, being productive to a certain extent. But when you feel fear, you just cower away from it. You just run away from it. You don't want to confront it. That seems like a miserable life for me. You might still be productive here and achieve some things, but you've probably still been miserable because you know you're not even close to achieving your potential. But the reality where you actually achieve your potential is the reality where you confront those fears every single day. Not that, okay, you feel fear for something and then you just ignore it, but you kind of feel fear, you kind of notice it, point to it and be like, okay, I'm gonna do that. The simple reason why I'm gonna do that is because I'm scared. That's the only reason why. And you do it over and over and over again. That seems like a way better reality to me. A reality where I'm gonna be a lot happier. So yeah. Hope you found this video valuable. Don't run away from bro, I can't talk. Don't run away from discomfort. Chase it.